I'm David Moskowitz, and we're here with the president of PROLOR Biotech, Mr. Shai Novik. Shai, thanks for speaking with us this morning.
Pleasure.
The company is using its platform technology to develop longer-acting versions of already approved protein therapeutics. Can you talk about this base technology? And it is considered the natural approach to making protein therapeutics long-acting. Can you talk about that as well?
Absolutely. This technology, which is termed CTP, was discovered at Washington University in St. Louis by a team of scientists that were looking at two hormones that we all have in our body. One of them is called HCG and one of them is called LH. And HCG is the hormone that maintains proper pregnancy. So for women who are pregnant, they need to get a lot of exposure to this hormone. So it has to be in vast quantities in their system for a long time. While the other hormone, LH, helps women get pregnant, but then it does its job, so it doesn't need to be there for a long time. So they were looking at these two hormones who are really of the same size and have 90-something% homology. And they were wondering, why is it that one of them, the LH, clears out of the human system very quickly, and the other clears out very slowly? They're both the same size, they look the same, they should be clearing out the same rate. So they were investigating this. And they found, after a lot of research, that there is a very small peptide at the very end of one of them, which doesn't exist in the other. And they called it CTP. So that's the discovery that was made at Washington University. When they chopped off this little peptide, they lost all of the longevity of HCG. So the theory coming out of Washington University in St. Louis was that during evolution, this little tail was developed by nature to elongate the circulation life cycle of HCG in the body, because evolution has a desire to keep proper pregnancies. So it gave HCG a long half-life, while it didn't have to give it to the other protein. So what we're doing with this technology is we're doing the same thing as what nature intended. We're taking the same sequence, CTP, and we're fusing it to other proteins in an attempt to extend their half-life.
That's very interesting, but more than a theory, the CTP technology has actually been validated by Merck. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what's the significance of that?
Sure. The CTP technology was licensed by Merck from Washington University, and they received a limited license specifically to utilize this technology for proteins. And they've taken one of them, which is called FSH, a hormone that is administered to women undergoing fertility treatments. And that's a hormone that a woman would need to inject every single day. And they have attached CTP to it and created a version that women can inject once a week instead of having to inject it every day. And Merck has gone through extensive clinical study, and then I think the largest ever fertility clinical study that was conducted, and they got approval, marketing approval in Europe in 2010 for this product, which basically serves as a great clinical precedent for us that the CTP technology actually works quite well.
Absolutely. That's a great validation. And which rights do you have and which rights do Merck have to the CTP technology?
Merck has the right to use the CTP technology with a specific list of 4 proteins, and we have the license to use it with any other protein or peptide of natural or non-natural sequence.
So everything else besides the Merck?
Yeah, in other words, everything else other than those 4.
Very good. A long-acting version of human growth hormone is your lead product and major value driver. Can you talk about the market opportunity for this product?
The market for growth hormone today is about $3 billion. And it is, the main players in this market are Roche Genentech, Eli Lilly, Merck Serono, Pfizer, Novo Nordisk, and a few others. And all of them are offering single daily injections of growth hormone. The patients that need growth hormone are divided mainly into 2 groups. Children that are growth hormone deficient, that need the growth hormone to properly grow, and adults that are growth hormone deficient that had some event during adulthood and their body does not secrete growth hormone in a sufficient way. In both cases, the use of growth hormone is chronic. So a child that would be diagnosed with growth hormone deficiency, typically at the age of 5 or 6, would need to inject growth hormone on a daily basis until age of 17 or 18, something like that. So we can calculate how many injections that is. And an adult that would be diagnosed at the age of 40 with this would need to be injecting growth hormone daily for the rest of his or her life. So the opportunity in this market is quite large because there is great inconvenience in having to inject every day. Not only the injection itself, which is painful and the kids don't like it, but also if you're going on a trip, on a 3-day trip somewhere, you're going to need to take with you in a freezed or refrigerated form your daily injections for the next 3 days. So it's also really bothersome. The opportunity is there for a single weekly injection that you can inject, say, every Sunday or something like that, and be done with it.
So what do you think your share of this $3 billion market could be?
Well, we look at it this way. Our strategy would not necessarily be to attack this market on our own, but we would probably partner with a large company that has a significant presence in that market segment, at least for distribution. So if we assume that a large company in that space has about 20% on average of the market, and if we now equip them to sell through the same distribution channels, sell our single weekly injection product, we think that conservatively we can see 35 to 55% of the market by that partner.
That's interesting. So the strategy here would be primarily to go out to a company that has a franchise in this area already and look to extend the life cycle of that franchise.
For that particular product, we think that it's going to be, we don't necessarily believe in small companies that launch large products. So small company launching a small product is fine. Small company launching on its own a large product is very risky. So we do think that a large, sophisticated market leader that already has the distribution channels and the marketing framework for this product would be the suitable partner.
That sounds like a good rule of thumb. So what is the timeline for development of this product? Where is it in clinical trials and when could it get to market?
To date, we've completed 4 clinical studies of our long-acting growth hormone. We did a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 2A, a phase 2B, all of which were completed successfully in terms of safety and efficacy, showing that a single weekly injection of our growth hormone can replace 7 consecutive daily injections of growth hormone. We're now running the 5th clinical study, and that's in children. That's a phase 2 in children. And we're planning towards the end of this year to initiate a phase 3 in adults. So all of these programs moving forward nicely, and hopefully by the time we're done with our phase 3 in adults, we can get the first marketing approval for the adult indication.
And at what stage in this development program would you go out and try to have the product partnered?
That's a great question. Typically, you're trying to find the value inflection point, and by which the right economics and the right partner come together, in a sense. And just looking at other companies and other products that have been moving towards phase 3, a large product, I think it would be safe to assume that it will be anything between now and the end of the phase 3. So we don't know exactly, and we're not providing any guidance as to when exactly. It's really more about finding the right partner and the right time.
In general, the strategy for PROLOR is to partner products or take them to market on your own?
Our strategy is really product and indication specific. So in the case of growth hormone, as I stated before, we believe that a partner would be required, at least on the distribution side. We can complete the clinical studies on our own, but we would probably want to seek a commercial partner. Then we're moving on to our second product, which is a long-acting clotting factor, factor 7. That's a $1.5 billion market approximately. In that market, the commercialization strategy is very different. In all of the United States, there are about 50 clinical centers that treat hemophilic patients. Even a small company like PROLOR with 2 salespeople can potentially cover 50 clinical centers. So that's a product that theoretically we could carry on our own all the way through commercialization. The clinical development path is not that complicated as well in terms of cost and time. And we could be marketing this on our own, not necessarily through a partner. The third product we're developing, that's a product for obesity and diabetes. That is a whole different animal because the clinical studies in obesity typically require about 5,000 patients in phase 3. And in diabetes, about 6,000 patients in a phase 3. So that's, again, you're moving into a territory of large companies. That's going to be a large indication from a commercial standpoint and a large indication from a clinical development standpoint. So we would probably want to partner this product earlier in the cycle.
So I'd imagine the diabetes compound could be partnered somewhere in phase 2.
Probably even before that. So we would, the strategy would be to do a phase 1, and then after that phase 1, try to find a partner.
And where are the hemophilia and diabetes compounds in terms of development?
Both of them are in preclinical stages. We've completed efficacy studies that have shown tremendous efficacy for these products, showing that the 2 of them could be significant market leader in their respective areas. And we plan on initiating next year in 2013 the first clinical studies for both. For the obesity and diabetes, it would be a phase 1. For the hemophilia, it would be a phase 2 immediately because you typically don't want to inject healthy people with clotting factors. That's not a good idea typically. So you immediately start with patients who's going to be a phase 2.
So there's a lot of exciting programs at PROLOR, and you're advancing the human growth hormone product into phase 3. That's a lot of capital. So can you talk about your balance sheet and what we can expect as investors with regard to cash burn and need for capital?
Sure. We have recently completed an underwritten offering in which we raised $37 million, which brought us to a balance sheet of, or cash balance of about $45 million. We believe that would suffice for us to complete the next 2 significant clinical milestones that we are planning. The first would be the top-line results from the 1-year phase 2 study, clinical study in children with our growth hormone product. And the second would be the top-line efficacy results from the phase 3 with our human growth hormone. And also have the results of the phase 1 of the obesity and the phase 2 of the clotting factor. So all of those are basically have been planned and taken into account for this cash level. So we hope that we would have sufficient resources to do everything we need to do and seek out opportunistically what's next for funding, whether it's strategic partnerships or another funding once we reach a certain milestone or both.
Great. And on those milestones, can you talk about the timing of when you'd expect to get the phase 3 HGH results and advance those other 2 products to where you see significant clinical progress?
Sure. The phase 3 in adults is designed to be a 6-month efficacy study followed by 12 months of safety. If we assume 6-month recruitment for the study, this means that we should have a year from the initiation of the study, we should have the top-line results for efficacy. Since our plan is to initiate it later this year, we believe that towards the end of next year, we should have the efficacy data for the phase 3.
Great. And the other 2 compounds, when would you expect to see?
And the other 2 compounds towards the end of, they're all, it's incredible, but they all fall exactly at the same time, which would be the latter part of next year.
So that's a big time for the company.
Absolutely.